Alrighty. Today's guest is a Trinidad-based voice communication expert whose experience extends beyond the Caribbean. He has had a successful career in voice communication training, audio production, and voiceover acting, spanning 20 years. Today, he provides training to others in Trinidad and countries across the globe, including running his own highly interactive program designed to teach individuals to effectively use their voice. I think I need your program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome for today's guest, Daya Ottley. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Keaton. A long time we haven't connected,
Yeah,
so
it's
this
been
is
a
an honor.
while.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to ask you some questions that I've never been to ask you before, so this is kind of cool.
That's pretty
Um,
good.
yeah, are you from Trinidad originally? Or are you from somewhere else, man?
No, I am. I actually born and bred right here in the Caribbean, so it's pretty good. I've traveled, but I haven't stayed there. So yeah, I'm from Trinidad.
Cool, man. When you were growing up, did you think you grew up like rich, poor, middle class, or like what was your upbringing like?
It was more for our context. It was more middle class, I would
Right.
say. Definitely, yeah. That was like my experience.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Yeah.
so I want to hear a little bit about your story. How did you get into speaking? Let's start even like from a young age. Were you always into this type of stuff, or did you go to school for this? I don't even understand. Is there a place to go to school for this? How did
Yeah,
you get here,
that's
man?
that's really an interesting question. So for me, uh, I remember some like things like really clearly, but I certainly remember being young and just being fascinated by audio and voice. That was something that always excited me. So I know that as like a 5 year old, I would pretend to be using a mic and talking into it. Where I saw it, I don't even know. I mean, because back then it's like there wasn't much like how media is today, where everything you see is accessible. So I really don't even remember what I saw a Keaton, because I'm like 40 something now. So back then
Yeah.
for us, there wasn't much exposure. We had like one access to one television station,
Yeah.
quite a few radio stations, but now in Trinidad we have like 30 something radio stations. Of course, you have access to Netflix and everything else. But for then, there was this passion, and I think it always stayed there. My mother was an English literature teacher, so she always had her children trying to speak properly, enunciate clearly, pronounce your words. So I grew up with that kind of experience. But of course, I always rejected, like, give me a break, mom. Let me just talk how I want to talk. And being from the islands, we have a dialect. I think, like in the States, everybody has dialects. You have things that you say. For us, we have a dialect. But our mother really was very strong in terms of making sure you know your dialect, but make sure you know how to speak clearly and properly so you could communicate with people. So I think that played a big factor as well. But getting into the whole voice thing, there are so many different roads that I went down, and some of them would be being exposed to a friend who really just got me into radio and doing voiceover work and said, you have an amazing voice, learn how to use it. And he taught me the power of intonation, how to go up with my voice, modulate, go down to make sure that an ad really lands. And I actually, my path really continued along that. I mean, I think God really helped to guide me through so many different things, so many different steps along the way. Because when I look back, it's like I didn't plan it. It was just like these things just worked out. I worked at a recording studio, I did sales for a while, and all of that was really a personal journey for me, Keaton, because I recognized I was a very shy guy to start off with, even though I had all of these. And I went through the experience of discovering boldness, discovering how to be more confident, having to sell this product out on the street. And so now, like how many ever years later, I've packaged my voiceover experience. I got coached by a lady in LA. That's another story by itself. I mean, I could talk on and on about all of that, but I literally went to LA, Los Angeles about 3 times, and to a summit, a conference where a lot of voice people I met there, because in my island, in my country, in Trinidad, I literally wanted more. by the way, when I worked at the recording studio, I met a lot of advertising agency folk there, and I was doing a lot of voice ads. I worked at a radio station for 10 years, so I got experience in reading news, in hosting a radio show. I got some training for all of that as well. And I, inside of that, I was like, I want more. I want more of this. Okay, I've done voices in my island. And that's why I sought the experience, because I mean, I see the US as having the experience for media and just learning how to be on screen. Of course, not discovering. I mean, then you look at everybody on television, you think everybody in the U.S. just knows how to talk like a movie actor. I discovered after that's not totally true.
No, it
You
is not.
know,
No, it is
it's
not.
not totally true.
Yeah.
My world was just small, but certainly at this conference, I met so many amazing people in voice. And well, Keaton, for me now, I have my own coaching program because with a background like that and so much experience in media and just being exposed to voice, I thought I could help people with this. I can use my training, the training I received in radio and in doing news and in voiceover acting and learning from like some of the best, like the person that's my coach from LA. She literally coaches people for acting for big commercials, and lots of the big voiceover people out there. And so that experience for me has been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. And so what I package into my program is all of my experience, the history, the long years I've walked in media, in experiencing radio, and just looking at how people can use their voice,
Yeah, well,
especially.
this isn't just for people who are trying to be a voiceover actor, people who,
No, no, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
This is just helping people how to speak and communicate, because we all have a voice. We've all been given this tool. And depending on what we're doing, I mean, you're hosting a show, someone has a pitch to give, to win a client. You have a phone call. You have to communicate to your child, and you have so many different ranges of emotion. When you're in the moment and you're totally upset, what do you do to ensure? You have to be so aware. And I try to make people are conscious of how they sound, because I'm sure the voice that you hear with your ears when you speak is not the voice when you record it that you hear back or everybody else hears. And so we have to learn the voice that everyone else hears. And that's getting accustomed to that. So that's what I help people with. Discover how you sound, record yourself, play it back, because with my experience as a voiceover actor, that's the thing that I recognize works. And everybody has a phone, so I tell people, listen, record yourself, say this, or try and record yourself doing something, and you recognize this is not how I sound. So it's always really important for people to discover how they sound when they say something. If
Mm.
you've ever sent a voice message to someone when you're upset and you play it back, you're like, did I sound like that?
Yeah,
So
that's
so
cool.
yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's kind of like been my journey.
Yeah, and I know you've been working on this course for a while now too. I'm really excited about it. I mean, it's out now. Can I ask you how much it's going to cost? You want to get on sales calls with people? Like what?
Yeah, sure. It's so right now it's for 4.99. When this podcast is out, this is gonna be 4.99, and it's what I've done inside of here is try to bring the experience that I have had so many one-on-one, and you would know that
Yeah.
I coach people one-on-one. And so the experience that people have with my one-on-one coaching, I've tried to bring that into a video course, because I'm not there, but I want people to get the experience as best as possible as if they were having a one-on-one coach. So it's between the type of coaching I'm doing on video and also tools that I'll be putting inside of the course, as well as worksheets that people can work along with to help themselves. That's what I'm putting inside the course. So it's a little different, because I love to do things differently and not just present. It has to be engaging, it has to be fun.
Yeah, I would tell you guys, if you aren't already following him, what's the it's at Daya Ottley, right? And
Yeah, you could do that on IG. LinkedIn is a great place as well, or just my link tree. You can check out my link tree as
you
well.
know, we'll
So
put the links
that's
in the description and
that's right.
everything. Yeah,
Awesome.
but he's putting videos out all the time, little little tricks or hacks that you can use after watching like a 1 minute video. You're gonna be able to improve the way you communicate. So I mean, I definitely go follow him. And then I mean, this course is so affordable, guys. I mean, why not? If you're you're in sales, if you're, I mean, if you're a human and you need to communicate with your voice, but
I
really, if
like how
you're in
you said that.
sales or you own a company and you need to be able to express yourself without doing what I just did with all the uhs and the ahs and the ums and all that type of stuff. I mean, I know I'm gonna either get the course or I'm gonna try and get some time one-on-one with him, because obviously I need to work and I want to make this podcast better. So I'm gonna reach out to Daya. But
Just to
um,
jump in to let you know that I'm planning to do many courses. And so what I thought, this course Own the Room really has to specifically deal with people with their presentations, whether it may be on a virtual call like a Zoom call, or if you have to do a physical presentation. And I'm going to be bringing out another course to deal with what you just spoke about with the general voice communication. But this really focuses a lot, Keaton, on well, how you use your voice in a presentation. There are a lot of people that are intimidated by the faces of the people that they see, and so I'm going to walk people through overcoming that fear. I was there once.
everyone goes through that when they first start.
Everyone.
I feel like that, unless like you're an incompetent, competent person. But yeah, that's um, and I think there's a lot of people listening that are going to listen to this that want to do keynotes.
Yeah,
They're
that's right.
terrified, or maybe they've been invited to go speak, and they're like, "Geez, I don't want my voice shaking while I'm up there, or my hands, you know."
Yeah,
So this is what this course is all about: how to own the room when you're in front of all those
how to own
people,
the room. Yeah,
how to
that's right.
have
Because
confidence and keep it. You tell them you.
that's correct. No, yeah, it's so that's you're absolutely right. It's about that, and so many times we're not aware of how to send that message. Because I people use the word public speaking, Keaton, but I like to use the word voice communication because we're communicating with our voice. That's what we use, and so we have to be aware of how do we communicate this message with our voice. If you want to communicate something with empathy, you can't be shouting and raising your voice loud. So you have to literally lower your tone and say something like, I really appreciate what you did for me today. That's an example of what you want to do. So, it's very important. It's very key for us to be aware of how we sound. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's say someone's listening to this and they're about to go do their first keynote. What's 5 tips you'd give them that, is going to help them knock it out of the park?
I would say for sure there are two methods inside of the course. I'll just give a little overview, I suppose, is the whole
Sure.
thing. But I'll just say that one of the components I call my pose method, and I've created that. And the pose method is POSE, and that stands for posture, openness, style, and energy. And just quickly to summarize that, those four components I've recognized are very important in how we deliver. We must have a good posture, how you stand. It affects the airflow, the flow of air that comes out, or sit.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're in a Zoom meeting, if you're slouched over or bent over, if you notice, if you crouch over like that, it affects how you sound or how you flow. So if you keep your back up, it makes a difference. Like literally that, and almost sucking in your gut and holding upright, but not being too stiff and okay, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
being upright, having an upright posture really helps in the airflow, and you just feel the energy coming through from your body, and that really helps. And then of course openness is just the whole issue of being very comfortable with being yourself in front of your audience, and I got dive into that a lot more.
You should make a whole
And
course on that.
I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
then, of course, you have style. Everyone has a different style. And I encourage people to just own your style. Don't try and copy someone else's style. Be your authentic self. And a lot of times, public speaking says there are these kinds of styles to use. I try to encourage people because people look very awkward when they try to become something that they're not, or try to be someone that they're not. So I always say, try and be yourself and work with that personality that you have. What are you? Naturally a storyteller? then work with that and develop that skill. Because inside of that, then you have to learn how to tell an effective story. But if that's your thing, then great. Or are you one that loves information? They're just people that love to shoot out facts and stats and things. Then use that. But then there are ways in which you use that to draw your audience in. And
Mm.
because there are all kinds of techniques. And then, of course, you have E, which is energy. Energy is so important. I suppose if I came on this morning on the podcast and it's like, yeah, Keaton, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for having me, and my energy is just really low. That's not cool. So you want to have energy. And I dig into that. What does energy mean? Where does energy come from? And how do we as speakers bring energy to a room? When you step into a room, you want to fill it. You could be as small as this, but people must feel your presence. Like there was one clip I said, if you were a mouse in the room running across a table, that's not really owning the room. You're just freaking everybody out because you're a mouse. But the thing is, you want to be able to fill the room by your presence, by what you say, by how you say it. Not intimidated, and it's not because you're arrogant. It's just because you have this inner confidence that the information that I have to share with people has value, has weight. And so it eliminates all the thoughts that we have in ourselves about self-doubt, about what people are saying about us. And as the more we begin to practice eliminating that and focusing just on the message and block everybody out, it causes us to literally be in the moment. It's happened, and this is something I've walked through, having done presentations, having been terrified at first, and walking through and recognizing it's a mental shift we have to take. It makes a big difference.
That's good. I like those. That's something that even someone could go through in their head right before they get on stage, right before they go into a sales call. Posture, openness. I got to be myself. Okay.
Yeah.
What was S again? I forget.
That is style. What is the
Style.
style?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just being yourself, but it's more about um, being okay with how you communicate. And energy is everything, right? Like no one wants to watch a YouTube video with us slumped down and tired and talking and everything. No one wants to listen to that. I even dude, I get some caffeine in me before I come on these podcasts just to get a little bit more boost, because you know what, you lose like 10% or like 50% of the energy across the airwaves. I feel like I could be like high energy right now, but when you're listening to it in your car ride, you're like, dude, this guy's falling asleep.
That's right. That's so true. And you said a point there, like YouTube videos. There are those YouTube tutorials where you have guys talking through. I literally, if someone starts, okay, folks, if you want to know how to edit, I just jumped to another. Yeah, I do. I don't want to hear it. It's like, no. Even if I'm not seeing you, I want to get the energy. So you're so right. I mean, to that point about, you think, and that's something that I tell people about. You think that you have energy, but if you're tired, you always have to make sure you crank up. You're tired. You had a long day. And this is experience from doing voice over work that I would be sure I really delivered on that one. And when I played back, it's like, man, I sound tired. And you really have to ensure that you give extra. You're not going over the top, but you give extra in what you're doing. So that's always important.
Yeah, I mean, like even coming home and seeing your kids at the end of the day,
yes,
right?
yes.
You're sitting in the car before you walk into the house. You should be thinking, how do I
Bring
bring
the
that energy out so that they're not getting the worst, 10% of me, and my job's getting the best 90%, because I think people gloss over the family aspect of life a whole lot because it doesn't generate income most of the time, so taking that time, this is even, I'm going to write that stuff down. You have to make a lead magnet with pose, like just a little poster board, or I'll have my team make one up for you and send it
Well,
your
that's
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
Someone else mentioned that to me, like these
Yeah.
little cards that people can print or have. That's very true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have that, and I have the GAS method, which is gather, arrange, speak. It teaches people how to eliminate filler words. So that's
Wait, what's
something that
that? What, I need that one.
it's called the GAS method. Yeah, so that helps you to just flow, and I go through that, and I help people in the course, going through step by step how to eliminate the filler words that we do from time to time. So it's the course is I'm excited about it. It's was on pre-sale, and now it's out there for people to access.
Yeah, we're recording this episode early for those listening and watching. So now when it drops, it's going to be available. And when we're recording this, is for pre-sale.
Yeah.
It's too bad we can't get them that deal. But cool, man. I'm looking at a couple more questions that I had written down for you. And you're married, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. How many kids you got, man?
I have three daughters. Could you imagine that? I have three girls,
Three girls.
12, 9, and 7. Yeah.
Oh man. Um, and how's having kids impacted your life and impacted how you think, operate, and act and run your business and everything?
Wow, boy, Keaton. That's a real deep question. It causes you to think. How it's interesting, especially inside of the pandemic. It changed things because I would be honest with you, when I was into this full time, I had a day job, and then I literally, well, they retrenched a lot of people. But I always had my business while I was in my day job. I always believed in having that side hustle.
Right.
um, and so when I was retrenched, I was like, I'm not looking for another job. I'm going to go into this all out. And, the reality for me is that I thought when I was home, when the kids were out to school, because for us in Trinidad, kids haven't been physically out to school since the pandemic. It's all been online schooling.
Yeah.
So, they have been literally home around us all the time. And even some places are now opening up. We're still not going to send them out, because some kids just, they don't know what environment, and COVID is still around. So we're being very cautious. That's just our philosophy. So for me, this, like, I was looking forward to kids being out because I had a few days of just home. Keaton, I had a routine. I would get up like 5 in the morning, and I would go and take a walk, and then take a jog, and then exercise, and then dive into my work, and I'll have the day to myself. I'll plan it out. Until now, kids are home. So it took a while to adjust, but I must say, however, particularly in the pandemic, being like having my family around all the time has been amazing. It really has been amazing. I mean, and I think I wouldn't want to change it, because even though sometimes you want a break, I mean,
Sure. I
but
got kids. Yeah.
yeah,
You do. You want a break, man.
whatever. but but I must say though, I do value the family time though, because life was really a hustle before. It's like, and lots of times my kids it was like a about almost a 2 hour drive to their school every day, to and from, in traffic. Yeah,
Wow.
that's how far.
That's rough.
I mean, just, yeah, that's rough. I mean, I know for you all in the States, most schools are close to where you live, but for me, the school that you want them to go to is dependent. So yeah, there are schools close by, but I didn't want them to go to those.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the specific schools are not based on geographically where it is. The better schools sometimes are further away. And so we made the trek. It was a sacrifice, getting up really early in the morning and then going and bring them back. So that it was a hustle. They don't have quality of life. They're burnt out, they're tired, more cranky. So I must say though, I've seen the difference inside of the pandemic. Family's gotten a lot closer, and you could do a lot more with the kids, and it's been really good.
That's nice. I always think like Saturday will come around and sometimes I'll be like, I could get some work done. I could go in the office. I could go, tackle that one project that I've been putting off for the past 2 months, or at least get it started. And then I'm like, I mean, I really do think to like, the last few days of my life, am I really, really going to care that I didn't get that project done this Saturday or whatever it happens to be? Right. I'm, I'm probably going to wish that I took that Saturday to spend time with my kids while they're small, you know?
Yeah.
So I just try and keep that in the back of my head. But man, I mean, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and my wife, she works as a nurse, and she has to get to work for 4 a.m. So I get the kids ready by myself, get them to daycare, breakfast, the whole nine. And then she comes home tired after a 12-hour day at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock. And I pick up the kids on my way home. but as one of us is cooking, cleaning, and getting the kids ready for bed, baths, and all that type of stuff, then it's 8 o'clock and we're dead tired and we got to do the whole thing over and over again. It's just like
Yeah.
sometimes you want that break for sure. What we've been doing recently is traveling, getting away for like even just like a night or a couple nights, just to go out and let the grandparents take care of them. But I think it impacts the business in that way. Like you said, they could be, interrupting your flow of things, but they can also create a lot of motivation that other people don't have who are entrepreneurs or not even entrepreneurs, and they're okay with the 9 to 5 because they don't want to build something for their family. So that's great, man.
Just let me pause to put the light back on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There it is.
Continue recording this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um, so how long ago did you decide to go out this like full force?
I would say I've been doing this has been about 2 years ago. Like I've been really dived into this in a really strong way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've full force, like literally getting into the business 100%. It's been about 2 years now.
You've gotten some big clients too. Well, what was that consulting firm? I don't know if you're allowed to say anything. So
Deloitte, yeah, I did some stuff with Deloitte.
yeah, yeah. So if you guys are looking for corporate training, let's say you got a sales team who needs to effectively communicate, I mean, they could hire you to come in and train their teams.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
definitely, definitely, and the video course as well. If companies would like to take the video course, they can do that as well. So walk through that, and then there can be a follow up one on one as well with me and the people in the company. So that could be awesome.
Lots of options. It's awesome. Um, are you mentioned God? Are you religious?
Yeah, I am.
You are. Do you have a certain faith
Yeah,
that you subscribe to?
yeah, I'm a Christian man. Definitely,
Christian.
definitely a Christian. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Um, why? I mean, did you grow up Christian or did you?
No, actually, I didn't. Actually, the interesting thing for me was as a teenager, I was just searching. I did all kinds of things, Keaton. As a teenager, I was in Eastern stuff. That was like meditation, Eastern things.
Yeah, sure.
You know, doing traveling. There's a type of thing that a friend introduced me to. Doing healing and stuff like that. I mean, I searched. I was into all kinds of things as a teenager. And then one day it just seemed to make sense. Somebody literally told me about Jesus Christ and a life, and I've literally been following him since. And so my life has transformed, literally since then. It's just what I know and I stick to. I've found the best personal results through that. I mean, like literally, because I've tried all kinds of different things. And for me, it just makes sense, and it's really helped.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I just bring it up because it's controversial anyway. People like touch on it, so I want to touch on it. And I mean, I find that having faith, especially when it comes to either like Jesus Christ, God, or something that is a higher power, um, when either you're going through hard times or you're not sure how something's going to work out, or being an entrepreneur is very difficult. It's having that faith to lean back on and go pray, and it makes a huge difference. There's a lot of people who accredit all of their business success to either being a Christian or being
Yeah,
in faith. A
yeah,
lot of people, and I also find, I mean, I'm sure there's other people who aren't Christian that do this too, but
yeah. Mhm.
um, they own a business and their mission is bigger than just make a bunch of money, right?
Yeah,
They want to either serve their community or
that's right.
go above and beyond and create something that's impacting the world in a beautiful way while they still can make money. It's like
That's
I
right.
love that.
Yeah, and for me, that's been my secret. My secret, as in that's the only way I live. I mean, I'm guided by everything I do. I don't just run out there. The pursuit. I've tried that, and it doesn't work for me. So it's like, all right, for me, I'm gonna be guided by God for this, and that's it. And and so that it's not even a religion for me. It's like a way of life, literally.
Sure.
If you understand, it's not like, okay, I get up and I say these five prayers and I jump on one leg and flip backwards.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, absolutely, man.
just like a way of life for me, and it really helps me and my family. Like, man, if in this pandemic, if I wasn't grounded, I will fall apart, Keaton. I'll be a real man and tell you that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I mean, you could have
Yeah,
shrugged it off. I'm glad you shared. That's awesome, man.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask some deeper questions here too. What's
I
the
love this
biggest?
podcast. This is cool, man.
Yeah, you
Keep it
like
up.
it? Awesome. I'm glad you do. Share it out, guys, and you guys listen and share it out. This is
Yeah,
what I tell people. There's no payment. I have nothing to sell you on the podcast. And like if I
yeah.
bring someone on, it's because I think that they can help you reach your goals. Right. I bring Daya
So,
on because I think that he has the capability, the knowledge and experience that he can share with you so that you can go and reach your goals. If he happens to charge a price, it's because if you got it for free, you wouldn't go and do it. The price makes you take action, you know.
that's so
And
true.
by the way, you're going to get way more than what you're paying for, so let
Mhm,
put that
mhm.
aside. But either way, you don't have to. This podcast is completely free. He's giving you free value here. I'm trying to provide value for you. The only thing I ask is you share this out, right?
Yeah,
That's your payment. You go share it out, because even if you didn't get value from this episode, there's someone else who you can share it out to who will. And that's just going to make the world a better place. And I would really appreciate if you went and did that. Leave a review and get more and more people like Daya, these high level people, to come on the podcast and share their knowledge and experience with you. Um, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to keep going here though. I got a few more questions. I just had to put that out there as a good time to say it. Because I mean, I'm passionate about this podcast. We got like some of the guests that I have on here that are coming on. I can't even believe that they said yes. I really
wow,
can't.
that's great, man. I'm
It's
looking
awesome.
forward to hearing it myself.
Yeah. Um, what's the biggest regret that you have in your life and why?
Biggest regrets I've had in my life. The question is, did I have any regrets? That's what I have to start by thinking about. I'm thinking about biggest regrets. I have conditioned my mind so much, Keaton, to not think of life as a regret, but more as an opportunity for growth. So it's really difficult for me to look back on anything in my life and be regretting what happened. To be quite honest with you,
Yeah.
it's like I really can't say, I'm really sorry that I didn't do it, because when I think I was sorry that I didn't do this, I recognize it was for my best and it actually helped me grow.
Mm.
So I can't really say there's been a regret. I mean, it's difficult to answer that. Like, I regret this.
No, that was the perfect answer. It's kind of like a loaded question. See what people think.
I
That
got you. That
it's a
was a
mindset,
trick
right?
one. Yeah, yeah,
It's a
exactly.
mindset. You could think about all these things and beat yourself up. I mean, like not even like
Yeah,
um doesn't have to be a big regret or anything, but I find that people beat themselves up quite a bit about a
yeah,
lot of things, even small decisions. And
yes, yeah,
if you can just flip your mindset and think about it from a different perspective, it can totally open up new opportunities to you and that you wouldn't have seen while you're beating yourself up. You know what I mean?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so
I love that answer. That's a great answer, man. What's one book you believe everyone should read?
the Bible.
Yeah, that's good, man. And why do you think that?
Because it's not it's loaded with so many examples. It's like if you approach it correctly, that's like a seminar by itself on
Yeah.
so much about life. People see it as a religious text, but I see it as a manual for so many solutions, how to deal with anger, how to deal with business, proper business principles and values. If you read it right, if
Yeah.
you don't see it as a religious text and you really see it as values for human living, because I see it as that, like this manual that's been given for living, and people probably never, because if you're not religious, it's like, that's just a religious book. But I mean, when you look at the examples of what people, decisions people made, and how they went through choices, how you deal with envy, jealousy, lust, it's like all there, man.
That is
So if it's just an example of economy and Joseph and how he was wise to save before the famine and he stored up, that's why I would say that that's like a book to read, man.
mm. I think to forget who it was, if it was John, but basically you remember all all the fish, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So
With Peter and
Peter,
when
yeah.
went with Jesus. Yep,
Yep.
yeah,
So, but before that, he was trying to pay off a debt to the Romans, and he
yeah,
couldn't figure out how to pay off this debt. He had so much money; he was going to lose his house. His wife was going to be screwed. And then to top it off, his mother-in-law just came to stay with him because she was sick. There's a whole mess of stuff going on in his life, and he needed to like an ungodly amount of fish to be able to pay for what his debt was to the Romans. He's going to lose everything, and I think he's going to go to jail too. And and he just kept trying overnight. It doesn't matter what, and a miracle happened. But I think it was like the fact that he's just kept trying. Like like I find that in business sometimes, you're I relate it to like payroll sometimes.
yeah,
You're worried about being able to afford payroll maybe one week, and then you it comes down to the last day, and then you close that big client, and everything's all set. What I
yeah.
mean? But you have to have the faith that it's going to be happening. There's a lot of this is one example that may not be the
Yeah.
best one, but I
No,
think
no,
about that.
that's great.
Or the
It's interesting.
no, I'm
No,
sorry,
go ahead.
touching the fringe of like Jesus's cloth, and he healed
Yeah.
the
Yes.
lady
Yes. Yeah.
just based off of her faith. I mean, like just a lesson in faith. Never mind believing in Christ, like just faith that everything's going to be okay,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
powerful that is. You know,
Mm-hmm. That's so true. That's great, man.
yeah.
I was just gonna say that the description you gave with Peter, I showed my kids there's this company called Sight and Sound, and they produced a stage performance on the life of story of Jesus, and it's like they actually go through that same story with Peter and the fish. It's an amazing thing that people could check out if you just Google search Sight and Sound. There's an app and you can actually look at high HD quality stories, stage stories. Everybody just loves it. I mean, yeah, you don't have to be a Christian, but you can just take it in and get these Bible stories on stage. They have live animals coming in, and it's amazing.
Mm. And I don't do this with my kids, like, well, I mean, I'll read like the stories with my kids, but I don't tell them like this is what you should believe, or that like this is
Mm-mm.
but like I share these things with them, and without any like, we don't even go to church or anything, but like it's it's something that's nice, because I remember in my life when I was younger, my mother reading these stories, and she never told me that I should believe one thing or another, that I had to say my prayers or anything like that. But it's impactful. And so what I'm saying is, like, you don't have to be Christian to get something out of these stories, and what they put on these plays. There's actually a TV series that they put on that's highly directed to. I'll have to figure out the
Figure out
name.
the TV series. Yeah.
They put out a series, and it's really really good. Yeah, so everyone should read the Bible. Is the book that Daya recommends. It's good. You got on us on a tangent. Um, this should be interesting because I don't know how you're going to respond to it. Um,
Let's go, man.
let's go. So if you could go back in time, right? Like you're just like magic. You can go back in time.
Yeah.
You can
Hmm.
only see yourself. You go and see yourself, and you tell yourself, "Listen, I'm only allowed to tell you three sentences, and this is it. This is the only three sentences I can tell you. What would they be, and how old would you be? Like when you went back in time, like would you see your 17-year-old self? Would you see your,
Right, right, right.
you know what I mean? What were
So,
those three sentences?
right. So when what at what point in my timeline, in my life in the past would I go to, and
Yep.
what would the three sentences be that I would tell myself? Wow,
Yes.
that's a really interesting Keaton, man. This show. So what point in time would I go? What will I go? I think yeah, I think I will go back to that teenage guy. And I think I would go just at the point of when life started to change in a different direction for me. And because as a teenager and even as a young adult, you don't know a whole bunch of stuff. So three sentences I would say would be, have some sense.
Okay, it's one.
Um, you know, sacrifice first, then serve first, sacrifice, and receive after. You know, oh, and the last thing is be spend wisely.
Spend wisely. I think everyone's 17-year-old self needed to hear that one.
Spend wisely. If I, yeah, and I guess if I could just share why I would say spend wisely, because I remember as a teenager, young adult, before I was married, I wasn't very thrifty. I mean, I like I told you, my career was voice. The amount of money that passed through my hand for voice jobs,
Mm.
and I just blew it, man. I didn't think about it. I was living in my mother's house, and I would just blow it. I would say definitely put your money aside, save it, don't spend it out. But as a young person, you want to buy this, buy that. I remember buying all kinds of things for my car, and that's just a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I changed like 3 cars when I was a teenager when I could have just kept one. Why? Because I wanted attention, and
Yeah.
so that's important. Good questions, man. That's good.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think everyone did that. I did that. I spent um I think that the problem with when you're younger is you don't know the difference between like a liability and an asset or an investment in just frivolous spending.
That's
You know
so
what I mean?
true.
Because I
So
don't
true.
think that people should just hold on to their money. I like if you're
Right.
growing a business, you need to. It's like someone related it to, let's say you're trying to cut a piece of wood, and all you're using is like your hand, but you have a
Mm-hmm.
whole tool shed over there that's full
Mm-hmm.
of tools. That's your money. And someone comes up to you and you're like, "Hey, why aren't you using the saw and everything that's over there?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm saving that for later." But you need to grow your business now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I think, but like the problem when you're younger is you're not investing to grow your business to get something back.
No. No.
You're, you know what I mean? I'm out there spending my money, like you said, a lot of the times for attention. Uh,
Yeah. That's the motives. I mean, I remember Keaton. I had a car that I bought from a friend of mine actually, and I don't know how to describe this so you could understand. But I sold a car to get that one.
mhm.
I was like 19, 20 years old, and around my friends, I like had the nicest car. I mean, at that time, the car had it was like dark tinted.
Yep.
It was a nice plush interior. It was way over what I, as at that point, should have had, and I knew I felt uncomfortable having it. But of course, it just felt like, oh, let's go and drive with Daya. Let's go. Ooh, it's like,
Right.
that was felt so cool. And I mean, I ran into problems paying, the payments on the car as well because I just couldn't keep up. That was a very very interesting experience. I think I learned from that. I had to sell it eventually because it wasn't like no. But yeah, that experience, man. But it's just the youth of, and now older, you have so much more sense. It's like, why I don't need that.
That's right.
I don't need to prove anything to anyone.
You don't. No, that's the still working on that one. Just like don't care what anyone else thinks. There's no reason.
That's right. That's it. I like that. And
Yeah.
even today, in doing what we do, they have so many people out there on social media doing stuff, but I have to do what I feel I'm called to do and not be phased by, how many people have how many followers. And that could be a thing for someone, especially if you're on social media and you put things out. You can look at other people's progress and success and feel threatened. But the thing is, if you know you're in a fit and you have something to do, then there's no need to feel threatened.
Yeah, it's better to make something that 100 people love than make something that a million people kind of like.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Daya, um, if someone, if you were to help the listeners, your superpower is obviously this voice thing. How can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to contact you?
I would say they can go to my website, and right there they can get all the links to my website is dayaottley.com, dayaottley.com. So
Okay.
you can get all my social media links there, as well as just book a free consult and just have a chat with me if you need to reach out and talk. Book something in my calendar.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sweet, man. Um, how can the listeners support you? Is there any, like, let's say there's someone out there who's listening to this and it's like your dream client or something. Like this guy is out here listening to the Keaton Nelson Show, and what could, or whoever it happens to be, like, how can the listeners help you?
Oh, I would love them to just book a chat. I love networking, Keaton. That's been like the most valuable thing for me right now. Networking with someone, just becoming part of their network and they being part of mine. That's like invaluable. That for me is something I would love. Just reach out. Just let's connect. Let's have a chat. Virtual coffee, and that will be awesome. And there's no distance now in this virtual world we live. I'm in Trinidad, in a warm, nice island of Trinidad. You could be somewhere in Arkansas, and we could connect virtually over Zoom and feel like we're still in the same room. That's the beauty of it.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Um, Great, and people can follow you. We already covered that. It's at Daya Ottley. You saw the
That's
other
right.
one, the voice one. Was it at? Is it at Voice Hacks or something like that? You,
Oh yeah, voice hacks is my voice hacks is on LinkedIn. So you could just check out LinkedIn and search hashtag voice hacks, and you get all my videos on LinkedIn. Also, it's on YouTube, so you could just go to YouTube channel, just search my name, or just Google my name. You'll see all this stuff come up.
yeah, he's got a ton
Uh,
of content to help you guys out. Seriously, you
yeah,
don't even have to pay him a dime.
yeah.
Um, Great. Well, like I said before, guys, share this one out. There's someone who's going to need to hear this. Someone's going to need to get in touch with Daya to help them reach their goals. You do your part. I'll keep bringing on awesome people like this. Daya, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man.
Thanks for having me, Keaton. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And until next time, peace.